My name is Daniel Mercer, and I used to believe curses were nothing more than stories told to scare children. That belief died the day I found the Aztec burial site. I had been working in southern Mexico for 3 months, mapping ruins near a forgotten village called San Xolotl. My local guide, a quiet man named Mateo Cruz, warned me often. "Some places are not meant to be opened," he said one evening by the fire. I laughed. History is meant to be uncovered. We found the tomb beneath a collapsed stone platform. Inside were bones arranged in a circle surrounded by carvings of jaguars and fire. At the center lay a small obsidian amulet shaped like a sun with a skull inside it. The moment I touched it, I felt heat rush through my hand. "Leave it," Mateo whispered. "That is not a gift. It is a sentence." But ambition is louder than wisdom. I took it, sealed it in my pack, and documented everything. That night, the dreams began. I saw a man with burning eyes standing above me. His voice echoed like stone grinding stone. "You carry what is not yours." I woke up screaming. From that night on, strange things followed me. Shadows that moved wrong, whispers in languages I didn't know, and a pain in my chest that pulsed whenever I touched the amulet. 3 days later, Mateo refused to continue. "You must return it," he said, "or you will not return at all." I didn't listen. I left for Mexico City, proud of my discovery, unaware that I had just stolen more than an artifact. I had stolen a curse. The curse did not strike like lightning. It grew slowly, like a disease. At first, it was small things. My reflection blinked when I didn't. My shadow lagged behind me. Dogs barked at me for no reason. People avoided my eyes. I met a historian named Sofia Ramirez at the university. She studied pre-Columbian rituals. When she saw the amulet, her face went pale. "This symbol," she whispered, "belongs to a forgotten order, guardians of death cycles. They believed certain objects carried bound spirits." "Bound to what?" I asked. "To bloodlines." That night, the dreams returned. This time I saw myself buried alive, hearing voices chant my name over and over until my skin turned to ash. I woke up with black veins spreading across my arm. I ran to Sophia. "You are being claimed," she said. "The spirit thinks you are its chosen bearer." "I don't want it," I shouted. "Spirits don't ask." She introduced me to an old healer named Don Esteban. He studied the amulet and shook his head. "This curse does not kill quickly," he said. "It replaces you." "Replaces me with what?" "With what it remembers." He told me the curse could only be broken by the descendants of those who created it. The ritual required blood, voice, and memory. "But the Aztec Empire fell centuries ago," I said. "Bloodlines do not fall," Esteban replied. "They hide." I looked at my darkening veins and felt something inside me watching, and I realized I was running out of time. Sophia helped me track possible descendants using old records and church archives. Names changed, borders moved, but blood always leaves echoes. One name appeared again and again: Xolotl. We traveled to a mountain village called Santa Muerte del Valle. There we met a woman named Elena Xolotl. Her eyes were dark and sharp, like they could cut lies apart. When she saw the amulet, she stepped back. "You stole from my dead," she said. "I didn't know," I pleaded. "It's killing me." She touched my arm, flinching at the black veins. "You are already halfway gone." Elena took us to her grandmother, Abuela Marisol, a blind woman who spoke in a voice like dry leaves. "The spirit is named Tletzin," she said. "It was bound to protect our line by destroying outsiders who touched it." "Then why am I still alive?" "Because it is not destroying you," she said. "It is becoming you." The ritual required 3 descendants, the amulet, and a place where blood first touched stone. But 2 of the bloodlines were lost. "Then I die," I said. Marisol shook her head. Or you find what was lost. That night, Tletson spoke through my mouth. I remember the fire, it said. I remember your bones. I bit my tongue until I tasted blood, just to prove I was still me. The second bloodline led us into the jungle near Chiapas. According to records, a man named Tomas Ixtli had fled there during the colonial wars. We found his descendants living near an abandoned mission. A man named Raul Ixtli agreed to meet us. When he saw my veins, he crossed himself. My grandfather spoke of this, he said. He said the sun skull would walk again. Raul agreed to help, but the third bloodline was gone. Their village had vanished during a flood a century ago. Elena believed one survivor escaped. We followed rumors, old letters, and broken maps until we reached a desert town called San Rojo. There, we found a woman named Lucia Nahua dying of illness. She laughed when she saw the amulet. So it chose another, she whispered. It always does. She agreed to join the ritual, but only if I promised to return the amulet to its grave. I swear, I said, but the spirit inside me screamed. We reached the burial site just before sunset. The sky was bleeding red, as if the world itself remembered what had happened here centuries ago. Mateo was waiting near the broken stones, his hat low over his eyes. You came back cursed, he said quietly, just like I said you would. The air felt wrong, too heavy, too still. Even the insects were silent. Abuela Marisol was carried to the edge of the platform and seated facing the old tomb. Elena, Raul, and Lucia stood apart from each other, forming a wide triangle around the burial circle. I stood in the center, holding the amulet. It burned against my skin like a living thing. Marisol began to chant in an ancient form of Nahuatl. The words rolled like thunder over stone. Mateo drew lines with ash and blood, copying symbols from the carvings on the tomb. Sophia stood behind him, pale and shaking, clutching her notebook like a shield. When the circle was complete, Marisol raised her hands. Blood remembers. Stone remembers. Spirit must choose. The chanting grew louder. Elena cut her palm and let the blood drip onto the stone. Raul did the same. Lucia hesitated only a second before slicing her hand open with a shard of obsidian. I was told not to bleed, only to hold. As the blood touched the carvings, the ground vibrated beneath my feet. The air smelled of smoke and iron. The amulet began to pulse, beating like a heart. Pain exploded in my chest. I fell to my knees, screaming. The spirit, Tletson, tore through my thoughts, flooding me with visions. Temples burning, warriors falling, priests cutting throats beneath a black sun. You are my vessel, it roared. You are my mouth. You are my memory. My voice changed without my permission. I remember the fire, I said in its voice. I remember your bones. Elena covered her ears, crying. Raul tried to step closer, but the ground cracked between us, forcing him back. I felt my hands move on their own, lifting the amulet toward the sky as if offering myself to it. Inside my head, I screamed my name. Daniel, Daniel, Daniel. I said it until it hurt, until it felt like the last wall between me and nothing. The spirit pushed harder. My body stood even though I tried to stay down. My eyes burned like someone else was looking through them. Raul rushed forward despite the cracks in the ground. I turned and struck him with my shoulder, sending him into the dirt. Elena ran to him, shouting my name. Daniel, look at me, she cried. You're still here. I know you are. I tried to answer her, but my mouth spoke for Tletson. He is fading, it said. Soon there will only be me. Lucia stepped forward, coughing, her face gray with sickness. She held out her bleeding hand. You want blood? She said weakly. Then take mine. Leave him. She pressed her palm against my chest. Something inside me shattered. Tletson screamed, not in rage but in terror. I felt its grip loosen. I felt myself again, small and shaking inside my own body. It needed me. It was afraid to be alone. I understood then that the spirit survived by wearing others, not by existing on its own. I grabbed the amulet with both hands. It burned so badly I thought my bones would melt. "No," I said with my own voice, "you don't own me." I ran toward the fire in the center of the circle. Elena screamed my name. I threw the amulet into the flames. The world exploded into heat and wind. Shadows tore themselves out of my skin, screaming in a voice that was never human. Tletzin rose like smoke shaped into a man, and then collapsed into sparks. Silence followed. I fell face first into the dirt, shaking and empty. When I woke, the sky was pale with dawn. I felt weak, but I felt like myself. Elena was sitting beside me, her eyes red from crying. Matteo stood nearby, silent as stone. "It's gone," she said softly. "You're free." The black veins on my arms were fading, shrinking back into normal skin. We buried the ashes of the amulet in the center of the old tomb, sealing it with stone and ash. Marisol whispered prayers for the dead and for the living. Lucia lay under a blanket near the fire. Her breathing was slow, shallow. She smiled when she saw me. "So," she whispered, "you kept your promise." "Yes," I said. "It's back where it belongs." She closed her eyes, peaceful. She died before noon. We buried her near the tomb, with flowers and quiet songs. Raoul cried like a child. Elena held his hand. Before I left, Matteo placed a hand on my shoulder. "You went into the shadow," he said, "and you came back." Sophia hugged me hard. "You're not the same," she said, "but maybe that's good." I returned home months later. I no longer chase ruins the way I used to. I still study history. But now I listen to it. Some things are not meant to be taken. Some stories are meant to stay buried. And some shadows, even when gone, leave their shape behind, etched forever inside the soul that survived them.